Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1643B, and today's date is August 20th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, and now the feature presentation, Sheep No More, Enjoy the Show. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are in trouble. We can see that many of the players within the deep state, they're lashing out. They're saying they're going to sue. We see Clapper Brennan. They're going at each other. And we're seeing that the programs that were set up before with Obama, they're also having problems. We see U.S. District Court Judge John Bates. He walked back to his January ruling forcing the Trump administration to restart the Obama-era DACA deportation amnesty program, ruling that the government does not have to accept brand new applications. Now, Judge John D. Bass acknowledged the legal mess that has arisen around DACA and said he didn't want to make it worse, so he issued a partial stay of his own ruling. That means that while illegal immigrant dreamers who are already have had DACA protections can apply for renewals, no brand new applications can apply to start the process. Judge Bates also delayed part of his previous ruling that would have allowed those with DACA to apply for special protections known as advanced parole, permission to travel outside the U.S. and then return. And we need to remember that all this was set up by the Obama administration with Soros to bring illegals into this country, just like throughout Europe where they're having the refugees move into those countries because they wanted to blend all the countries together and remove the identity of each country. And remember, Obama, well, he exploited the loophole under the law to get these individuals in here, and Trump shut it down. Now, we have to remember, this Judge John D. Bates, well, he dismissed a 2010 challenge to Obama's drone strike against dual American Yemeni Muslim cleric Anwar al-Awlaki, sparking a fierce debate over the targeting of American citizens. And also back in 2013, Bates, a former FISA court judge, authorized the NSA to restart the mass collection of internet metadata, including that of U.S. citizens, despite acknowledging that the NSA had violated provisions of various laws. So to me, this judge needs to be removed. Now, Judicial Watch is out there, and they're calling for the reopening of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails after finding more classified information on former Secretary of State email system. So, on Thursday, the watchdog revealed that it had received two batches, 184 pages and 45 pages of newly uncovered emails belonging to Hillary Clinton from the U.S. Department of State, sent and received over her unsecured server. The emails were uncovered by the Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed on May 6 of 2015 after the State Department failed to respond to a March 4th, 2015 Freedom of Information Act request seeking all emails sent or received by Clinton in her official capacity as Secretary of State, as well as all emails by other State Department employees to Clinton regarding her non-state.gov email address. Now, Judicial Watch broke this down on what they found. Here it is. On June 7, 2011, Clinton received classified information on her non-secure email account from former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, which Blair also forwarded to Jake Sullivan about Blair's Middle East negotiations with Israel, the Palestinians, and the French. On January 26, 2010, Clinton's Deputy Chief of Staff, Jake Sullivan, sent classified information via his unsecure BlackBerry to Huma Abedin's State Department email account that he'd earlier sent to Clinton and Abedin's non-secure @clintonemail.com email accounts about UK negotiations with Northern Ireland. On October 28, 2010, Clinton exchanges information with her friend Marty Tory, a congressional aide, who asked Clinton in an email if she would advise that Tory meet with former Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf. Clinton responds through her non-secure email account, approving the meeting and notes that she is emailing him from Hanoi, Vietnam. an email chain dated April 8th, 2010, which contains a memo from Sid Blumenthal to Hillary Clinton related to the change of government in Kyrgyzstan. Contains information classified, confidential, and is redacted as foreign government information and foreign relations or foreign activities of the United States, including confidential sources. These emails caused Judicial Watch founder Tom Fitton to call for the Department of Justice to reopen the investigation into Clinton's use of private email server during her time in office. Interesting, but not surprising, is also an email that shows a meeting scheduled between Hillary Clinton and billionaire George Soros, and that is also included in all these emails. This is completely amazing, and this case should be reopened. We see right now that the whole Mueller investigation is really going nowhere, and he's kind of stuck here. If you really think about it, what has happened? Well, Mueller has been investigating for almost 2 years now, has found nothing, there's no Russian collusion, and during this period of time, people that he's been working with have been fired, resigned, or forced out. And if you look at this, you can see FBI departures: James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Rybicki, James Baker, Mike Corton, Josh Campbell, James Turgle, Greg Bauer, Michael Steinbach. They have all been either reassigned or fired. If we look at the Department of Justice, Sally Yates, Bruce Orr, twice demoted. Sally Yates was fired. David Laufman resigned. Rachel Brand resigned. Tricia Beth Anderson, demoted or resigned. John P. Carlin resigned. Peter Kadzik resigned. Mary McCord resigned. Matthew Axelrod resigned. Preet Bharara fired, along with 45 other U.S. attorneys. Sharon McGowan resigned. Diane Flynn resigned. Vinita Gupta resigned. Joel McElvain resigned. So when Mueller started out, all these people were there in the Department of Justice and FBI, and now, 2 years later, these people are either fired or they jumped ship. And it's time to end this investigation because he has nothing. If he had something, he would have written a report. And who knows? Rod Rosenstein is probably next. And Orr is probably going to get fired. And Brennan had his security clearance revoked. Clapper is probably next. And there's going to be many, many others that are going to have their security clearances revoked. Guess what? Mueller is going nowhere. He has nothing. It's time to end this. We see the conspiracy theory of when we started to report on these RFID chips implanted into people's hands. It looks like companies are getting on board with this. And coming out of the mainstream media, they're trying to make it seem like this is a normal thing and everyone is very happy with it. Now, again, this is a small little chip that is implanted into your hand. Out in Sweden, there's something like 3,000 people that already have this. Here in the United States, they're trying to convince everyone that this is a fantastic thing. And RFID chips, they are used to track you. They're used to, make payments and things like that, but it has to be implanted into your body. Now, a Wisconsin technology firm, 3 Square Market, has injected 80 employees with their own brand of RFID microchips over the last year. And the implant, which is about the size of a grain, fits right between your thumb and your pointer finger, and they even give you instructions on how to do it yourself. They're saying it's that simple. And the mainstream media is out there saying how people love it. This is an incredible thing, and we know what it's going to be used for. Think about your phone today on how they can hear you and track you, and they know where you are. The problem is if you forget your phone, they don't have the ability to track you. They can't get that information. Think about if you had a device on you or in you at all times. They can track you. They know exactly what you're doing. And who knows, this device might be able to read your vital signs and everything else, which will be transmitted to these individuals. So you can kiss privacy goodbye, because once you have this implant in you, it's game over. Now, remember, they're using companies and employees to do this because I believe what they're going to try to do is saying, listen, if you want a job and you want to work here, you need to have this implanted. And I think every job, what they're trying to do is say, okay, everyone is required to have this if you would like to work for our company. And this is why they're doing this through companies right now. So we can see right now this has been their agenda, and they're still trying to push that same goal. We see out in Afghanistan, we know that Ghani has offered the Taliban about 3 months of a ceasefire. And of course, if the Taliban agrees, there would be a ceasefire. But if they don't agree, the ceasefire is off. And we see Pompeo is out there, and he's saying that, yes, we need peace right now. It's time for peace, and the Taliban should look at this, and they should maybe go along with this ceasefire deal. Now, what's very interesting is that the Taliban has accepted the invitation to attend reconciliation talks in Moscow. The Taliban movement has accepted Russia's invitation to attend these talks, which are scheduled September 4th, and the Taliban's decision to attend the talks came as the movement steps up its political engagement with the United States. And I do believe the United States and Russia, they're working together to bring about peace in Afghanistan, and from this, we are seeing that we are on our way. North Korea, they are praising Trump and bashing his critics, saying that the peace deal, the denuclearization, is going along on schedule. And they're very happy with the progress. They're not trying to build an ICBM. They're not going to shoot off a nuclear missile. Basically, what North Korea is saying, that there's many critics within the Trump administration that are trying to undermine what is being done here. And we know this is exactly what they're trying to do. China has called out fake news. A couple of reports ago, we said that the Chinese were going to bring in forces into Syria. And we know that China really doesn't work like this, where they bring in armed forces to help out. Unless they were invited, maybe they will, but I don't think they would, even if they were invited. And right now, China is out there saying that they are not bringing in soldiers into Syria to help with the last couple of battles here. This is completely and utter fake news that has been put out there. And in July, China and the European Union have confirmed their support for UN Security Council Resolution 2254, which envisions a nationwide ceasefire and inclusive political process for Syria. They would like a political process, and again, they have a lot of economic deals on the back burner here, waiting to go forward with Syria. And we can see right now they would like the war to be over there. And I think many of us would like to have the war over with Syria, and it is coming to an end. I do believe that we're going to hear a major announcement coming from Trump very soon about what is happening out in Syria. Let's go to Q's post. He dropped some posts, but I want to back up a little bit to post 1884. And this one is where we had Saudi Arabia access closed, Epstein Island access closed, and we pointed out that Russia, that Q forgot the I. We also mentioned when Trump was tweeting to Andrew Cuomo, where he says, we're not going to make America great. And the going was missing an I, and it said go NG, go National Guard. Well, it looks like the National Guard has been deployed. More than 160 North Carolina National Guard soldiers from the 514th Military Police Company in Winterville left for Guantanamo Bay Tuesday, where they will be deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Very interesting, because we know that Q mentioned something about Guantanamo, about refurbishing Guantanamo, having it ready for certain individuals. Let's move on to post 1928. Q wrote movie 1 in brackets, bold. Showtime. BO with arrows pointing to CS, pointing to BO, pointing to NO, pointing to CS, pointing to NO, pointing to BO, pointing to brackets with nothing in them. Who instructed the Department of Justice to release select test messages? When did Rod Rosenstein, in brackets and bold, learn of involvement of Barack Obama, which is in brackets, and NO, which is in brackets. What happens if Rod Rosenstein knew prior to signing Carter Page's FISA? Why did Rod Rosenstein, under congressional testimony, refuse to answer the question, reading of FISA prior to execution? Who signed page 380? Who signed page 389? Who signed page 390? Who signed page 391? Who signed page 392? Then gave the link to all these different pages. Who is one of 4 firewalls? Who signed? Firewalls. Who signed? Firewalls. FISA 20, the 20 pages. The trilogy. Movie 1, full, the start. Plot. How the intelligence apparatus, State Department and Department of Justice of the United States, in joint effort with our primary foreign allies, plus other covert assets, as directed by Hussein, White House, in coordination with Hillary Rodham Clinton, colluded and conspired to rig the presidential election of 2016 in an effort to install Hillary Clinton, frame POTUS, projection, create emergency contingencies, installation of safeguards and firewalls to prevent exposure or continuation of presidency should counter fail to ensure operations, actor agents of power, past and present, remain in control, and use sources, covert assets of the fake news media to carry out X-frame barrage of strategic coordination, guided attacks designed to divide, cover, shelter, justify, impeachment, removal in effort to regain control and prevent public awareness of illegal criminal, treasonous acts. Movie 1 of 3 full list, coming soon to a theater near you. Movie 2, coming this fall. Movie 3, to be announced. Enjoy the show. Looks like a communication chain in Q's top lines, showing how the cabal communicated. It'll be interesting to see what 6 names fall in those 6 empty kill boxes. When did Rod Rosenstein learn of involvement? What happens to Rod Rosenstein if he knew prior to signing the Carter Page FISA? Well, he would have to step down immediately. Why did Rod Rosenstein, under congressional testimony, refuse to answer the question, RE reading of FISA prior to execution? Because it would implicate him in this Russian collusion charade. Rosenstein appointed Mueller. If Rosenstein knows Mueller has been appointed under false pretenses, the entire Russian inquiry falls apart and ends. So if we take a look at who signed page 380, looks like this is redacted, but under it, it says Supervisory Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Is this Peter Strzok or James Comey? Could be either of those individuals. Who signed page 389? Well, this one, it's Andrew McCabe. And let me read what he signed. Accordingly, I execute this certification regarding Carter Page in accordance with the requirements of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978, as amended. Who signed page 390? This is approval. I find that this application regarding Carter Page satisfies the criteria and requirements for such applications set forth in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978. Well, this one we don't know because it is redacted. Who signed page 391? Accordingly, I approve the filling of this application regarding Carter Page with the court, then it's redacted, but this is Rod Rosenstein. So Rod Rosenstein signed page 391, which looks like it belongs to page 390. Page 392, this is also redacted, where it says, wherefore the United States submits that this application regarding Carter Page satisfies the criteria and requirements of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978. And this is the U.S. Department of Justice, and it is redacted, so it's very hard to see. And it looks like it's the Department of Justice attorney. So it's either Sally Yates, Rachel Brand, Rod Rosenstein, or somebody else. But we can see right now they have the documentation, and guess what? They know who signed them. That's the point of this. Post 1929. Anonymous put up, listen close, session hints to the trust the plan when he was speaking at an engagement. So this is on Twitter. Take a listen to what Jeff Sessions says. He's making it clear that this is not going to be the same Department of Justice.
There are those in this room, and maybe more than a few in this room, who get frustrated about when they turn on the TV at night, and you have to take Rolaids, and everybody's got an opinion about what the Attorney General should do or what somebody else should do. Well, I get frustrated too. A lot of things I'd like to be able to say and explain, but the rule of law isn't always about getting the outcome you seek. It's using the same fair process, pursuing the truth wherever it leads. We can never allow any part of our legal system, and least of all the Department of Justice, to be reduced to a tool for a political agenda. This department will not make decisions based on politics, ideology, bias, as long as I'm Attorney General. I believe that this is what the American people expect. I think this is what the American people expect and deserve from the Department of Justice. And we will not confirm investigations or leak sensitive law enforcement information to get a few cheap headlines. I am determined, we are determined as a team in the Department of Justice to reestablish proper discipline in these matters that has been eroded.
Let's move on to post-1930, August 20th. Now, Q put up post-1912, where Q put up a link to Twitter for Comey, line 4. This is August 16th, remember. Email, Gmail, and put a lot of dots, untethered to department standards, with a lot of periods after that. Concerned, dedicated resources in place are not adequate to shelter against the PDB in which several agencies contribute. Will you stand tall or cower? Resist OP will not provide enough public support for cover. Smile for the camera. Patriots in control. Q. So on August 19th, James Comey tweeted something very interesting. And he wrote, "Truth exists and truth matters. Truth has always been the touchstone of our country's justice system and political life. People who lie are held accountable. If we are untethered to truth, our justice system cannot function, and society, based on the rule of law, dissolves." Now, an Annan broke this down. So this is what Comey said. Truth exists and truth matters. Translation, you've got proof, and I acknowledge it matters. Comey says, truth has always been the touchstone of our country's justice system and political life. Translation, this is how things have always been done. I'm not the only one to blame. People who lie are held accountable, Comey says. Translation, I didn't lie. I rolled over. Comey says, if we are untethered to the truth, our justice system cannot function, and society based on the rule of law dissolves. Translation, this part is the key. I think he's saying he's having second thoughts about whatever deal he made. And Q is reminding him that the opposition press will not be able to whip up enough spin and propaganda to protect him. Another Annan says he's pointing out consistencies between the Gmail drafts and Comey's tweets. As he uses the word untethered in both, I think he's saying the whole resist thing is not strong enough of a movement to save these people. These people are acting like they have ethics now, but Q is saying it's all fake. Smile for the camera, and that they know who they really are. Patriots are in control. So when we look at all of this, we can see that they are scared right now. They know it's all falling apart. And especially when you start getting rid of their access, their security clearance access, they know they're in big, big trouble. And maybe James Comey is flipping. Maybe he's working now with the White House. He's having second thoughts. But we can see right now that it's all coming down around them. And the show, the movie, has started. So it looks like Q is saying we're going to see part 1 now. It's going to start to begin. As we can see, it is. we're going to have part 2 in the fall. Now, of course, we know there's midterms going on during that period of time, and most likely they're going to have this come out right before this. So the public understands what is going on. And of course, that will make people think to say, who should we have in office right now? And I think that is the plan. And then we'll have the bombshell of all bombshells come out right after that. And you can see that this whole thing, well, it's starting to fall apart for the deep state. And under these 2 tweets, Q says, "Do you believe in coincidences?" And Q wrote, "Nothing to see here," which means you need to be looking at this because this is very important. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.